To Amanda Hall Psychic mini workshop series here on Facebook Live on a Wednesday afternoon from the Gold Coast, and it's noon here in Australia. I hope you're having an absolutely awesome week wherever you are. We'll just take a couple of minutes to welcome everybody to the show. I hope you're having an absolutely awesome day wherever you are in this planet, or night, wherever you are in this globe of ours. It's lovely to see everybody. We're up to workshop number 32, which is absolutely amazing. And this week we're going to be working with the full moon in Aries. And it's one of my favorite full moons of the year because it's just such a powerful, exciting time to be alive and to be able to work with the moon energy. So before we kick the show off, I want to sort of get some T's and C's out of the road and just sort of give you a little bit of background about why we're here and why we do it every Wednesday afternoon. My name's Amanda Hall Psychic. I've been in the psychic industry here in Australia for over 40 years. I've won a number of industry awards over the years for my services in teaching and reading and astrology over the years. I like to be the sort of person that helps empower you as an individual. It's not about getting free readings here. I don't do free readings on this workshop series. I don't necessarily give a shout out and wave to everybody and say thanks for joining us, and Mary and Bob and Sue from wherever you are around the world. But I will say to you, if you'd like to leave a little comment in the comments box and say wave and hi and where you're from or how you're feeling or how you're finding the information on the show, that would be absolutely fantastic. And I will personally get back to you in the next 48 hours. And I do check it regularly throughout the week. For those of you that might, be watching the show a little bit later on, that's great too. And the reasons why I don't do free readings here is, number one, I want to keep this as a teaching segment. I want to be able to spend this time with you, this 20, 25 minutes each week, sharing with you some of my knowledge along the way from psychic and astrology subjects that I've worked with and are very passionate about in my over 40 years in this industry, and to help empower you to make changes and choices in your life that will be easy to follow, things that are at your fingertips, things that you can start working with today. And please feel free to share this with your family and friends or anybody else that you think might be interested in watching this presentation. It's there for everybody to see. If for some reason that you miss it or you want to go back and watch some previous episodes, I do have an actual Facebook page set up, which is called Amanda Hall Psychic shows/workshops. Now on there you will find all my shows from A1R Psychic Radio, where I work out of the Washington district just prior to this show on a Wednesday here in Australia. And I have a completely different show there where we talk about astrology and we do a couple of free readings and tarot, and we work with the candle as well there, but it's a completely different format to this show. So you're more than welcome to join us there also on A1R Psychic Radio, where you can put your name down for the opportunity to have a free reading with me. But coming back to the workshop, again, I'd like to welcome everybody. This is a free presentation. You are more than welcome to share it with anybody that you think might benefit from listening to what we're going to be discussing today. If you want to have a reading, you can head to my website, www.amandahallpsychic.com.au. And when you get to the checkout, type in capital letters the word Facebook, and you'll find you'll get a discount there on your readings. Now, for those of you that may not have the money for a reading or might feel that it's not the right time, we do offer a free service on the website where we do have a tarot widget where you can go in there, shuffle the Simply Tarot cards, and 10 cards will appear on the screen, and you can use that as many times of the day or night as you feel that you would like to. That is a free service that we do offer our customers. No, I do not enter into any correspondence about the cards or the reading that you gave yourself. That is purely there as a self-help situation or an opportunity for you to be able to read your own cards at your leisure. So kicking the workshop off today, we're actually working with the full moon in Aries, and I'm really, really, really excited about this one. So let's take it back to some basics. What is a full moon? A full moon happens once every 28 days. It's when the moon is at its fullest. So it's a time of when the moon is full and it's ready to release. So it's technically for us as human beings, it's the time when we need to be releasing things that we've stored up, things that we've gathered, emotions or grievances or whatever they may be that we wish to release. So we work with a different energy each month, and the full moon is always the energy, the exact opposite sign to where the sun is. So the sun is currently sitting in Libra at the moment. So that means our full moon will be in the opposite sign of Aries. Now, taking it back to very basics, and I'm sure there's people that are joining us that really have no knowledge about astrology, and others will have an extensive amount of knowledge. So please, tune your ears out if you don't want to listen to this next bit, if you've got an extensive knowledge in astrology. But Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, the star sign, the astrology signs, whatever label you choose to put on it, it means it's first. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of where astrology comes from. So the Aries energy is about me first. It's about fiery, outspoken, decisive, dynamic, motivating type of energy. It's always in a hurry. It's an energy that says, I'm happy to do this by myself, but I'm also happy if you want to tag along and join in the fun. The Aries energy is about motivating each and every one of us to get up off the couch and to do something different with our lives. So how would we work with a full moon in Aries energy, I hear you say? Well, it's very simple. I like to work with things like this. I like to write a little list, a minimum of 3 things that you might like to be releasing, and maybe 2 or 3 things that you might like to be hoping to attract in your life. Now, when we work with something like the full moon in Aries, because it is the first full moon of the astrology year for the sign of Aries, it means it's a beginning point again. It's almost like a new year in a sense, but we're sort of, we're in the 9th month, and you sort of say, well, how can that be a new year? But on the astrological level, it's the first full moon of the new astrology year, if you want to look at it like that. It's the spring equinox here on the southern hemisphere, and it's the winter or the fall equinox / autumn equinox in the northern hemisphere. So for those of us in the southern hemisphere, it's a time where everything's sort of fresh, new. We're planting our crops, things are springing to life. It's when people are supposed to fall in love, because people start to fall in love when everything starts to blossom and grow in the spring. And we're heading towards the warmer time of the year. The summer's coming up, and we're all getting pretty excited about that, and we're starting to peel our clothes off and starting to feel the freshness and the freeing of the restrictions of the long, cold, dark sort of winter. And when we hibernated and did all our soul searching and releasing and reorganized our lives and got creative, whatever we might have done over those winter months, we're ready now to sort of, break free of that and lash out and start to sort of put some of these things into motion. For those of our friends that live in the northern hemisphere, the exact opposite is happening. They're starting to reap the rewards of their harvest. They're starting to put food away in their store cupboards and store up for the cooler months and the cold winter that's coming their way. So it's for them, it's the time of winding down, of starting to sort of look for jumpers, getting your winter woolies out, chopping the wood, getting ready for the cold months ahead, making sure that you've got plenty of supplies if you're living in areas where you may get snowed in and things like that. So it's a completely different thing for them. They also start looking towards activities that they'll be doing indoors around the fire, becoming creative, working on themselves, spending time with family, sort of doing indoor sports or doing things that, might be ice hockey, things that only happen when the weather's turned cold, or ice skating. So it's a very different world that they're heading towards. But for each and every one of us, no matter which hemisphere we're in, it's a time of change. Now, the full moon would be indicating it's a time of releasing anything that we may have been working on in the last 12 months that we might feel that there's a little bit of residue left over. You might have worked on something 3 or 4 months ago and let go of it with one of the other full moons, but in the last week that sort of has just come back into your mind, and you just sort of question whether or not that's completely dealt with. Well, that might be one of the things that you might like to write on your list. For me personally, I've been working on things as I always do. I never not do what I'm talking about or sharing with you. I'm human like everybody else, and I have good days and bad days, and I have some days where I'm more motivated than others. And, sometimes we all need to be prepared to release and let go of things that, that we were responsible for, that we might have done that in our human selves in the last 12 months. So on the top of my list was the releasing of anything that I might have said to somebody that may have been taken the wrong way, because I'm so forthright and straight down the line and very direct, and being the typical Sagittarian, speak first and think later. And I sort of put that at the top of my list, thinking, well, maybe there might have been some people that, pardon me, might have taken what I said literally and thought, oh, she was being a bit nasty about that, or she could have, worded that a little bit better. Well, then I'd like to sort of release that and ask for their forgiveness. It's also too that I'm sort of releasing anything that maybe that I feel is holding me back, whether it be in my personal life or my my professional life, I'm always looking to release any old energy, anything that might be sort of be seen as holding me back in any way. Because I believe when you work with energy, as I do on a daily basis, and you work a lot with people and issues and their very personal things in their lives, you can't help but not have some of it stick to you in some small way. Even if you think you've cleansed properly and you've released and you've protected yourself, there still can sometimes be some residue. So that to me was sort of like this ultimate clearing of this release of anything that I might have gathered along the way from my clients and my family and the people that are important to me. I'm giving it a real sort of let's go. So it's interesting because, that's the full moon and that's what the full moon's role is. And because it's in Aries, it's about a very me first sort of energy. It's about, I'm ready to sort of take the world by storm. I'm ready to do this and I'm ready to do that. And sometimes with the Aries energy, we can sometimes be seen as being a little bit selfish or a little bit self-centered and not really being inclusive of other people. But the Aries energy, yes, it may be that, but it's not stopping you from joining in and saying, well, okay, I'm coming with you on the journey. And he says, yeah, well, great, let's all go, and you can do it at your own pace. You can either stay with me till the end or you can drop off and go your own direction. It's entirely up to you. So even though it's still a very individual thing, it can also be an inclusive thing, because the Aries energy is also about working with the Libra sun, which the Libra sun is that we need to encompass and encourage everybody. We need to be inclusive. We need to consider other people. It's not always just about I, it's about you as well. So it's a really nice balance there of being determined, being motivated, being the leader, showing everybody how to get up off the couch and be motivated and let's go. Then it's up to them if they want to join in. There's no, you must do it. It's an open invitation. If you want to join in, that's great. If you only want to come for the first part of the journey, that's great. And if you want to be there till the end, that's even great too. So there's no sort of judgment about how little or how much that you do during this full moon. It's just everybody's welcome and it's an open door policy. So I think that makes it pretty significant. So if we were going to be working with one of my full moon candles, we've written our list. We're going to be lighting the candle, but before we light the candle, we're going to read it out aloud. We're going to go to light the candle. We've read it out aloud, our list. We've popped the list underneath our candle, putting that on a coaster before we put it on the furniture. Then we go to light the candle. Now, this is one of my extra large candles. They burn for approximately about 50 to 60 hours. But if you only light 1 wick at one day and the other wick the next day, you will get up to 100-hour burn time. Now, the reasons why I like to do this is, number one, it saves you money. Number two, that the glass containers can get hot. And if we don't put it on a coaster, we've got more chance of the glass container cracking. And also, more importantly, it could scorch our furniture or our beautiful table and things like that. So it acts as a shield to sort of stop the heat going through and scorching the table, but it also helps regulate the temperature of the glass container, because the soy wax itself doesn't get hot, but the glass containers can. So that's our full moon candle. And we would write exactly the same identical list for our fire sign candle. Now, our fire sign candle also covers the other fire signs. It's not just Aries, it's Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So again, same principle, 2 wick principle. We'd follow the same rules. We would light the candle from about 15 minutes to 2 hours per day. How I like to work with the candles is this. I like to work on a 7-day cycle. So it would be 2 days before the full moon. The full moon actually started yesterday here in Australia. So it would have been 2 days before that. I would have started it on the Sunday. I would go 2 days prior to the full moon, 3 days of the full moon, even though the full moon only technically lasts for 2.5 days, but we'll say 3 days. And then I like 2 days on the wind down. So everything I do is in a 7-day cycle. No matter what candle I'm working with for the week is in a 7-day cycle. So for those of you that don't want a big candle and you might want a smaller one, this is our gift box set or our travel set. These candles burn for approximately 15 hours. They only have 1 wick in them. You can make up the pack to suit yourself. Now, there's 27 candles in our range, so you can choose any one of the 27 candles. You can have all 3 the same if you want. You can have 3 different ones. The box set I've made up today is 2 fire sign and 1 full moon, but you might want to make it up with 1 fire sign, 1 full moon, 1 new moon. It's entirely up to you. So these make a great gift for, with Christmas and things like that coming up. Last year we had some pretty big orders for people ordering gift box sets, and they then took the candle out and made it an individual gift to give to teachers and neighbours and things like that. So that's just a choice that, might be something you want to consider with Christmas shopping just around the corner. For those of you that don't want to work with a candle or don't have the luxury of time to sit there and babysit the candle for, up to 2 hours, you might want to consider a melt warmer. Here in Australia, you can pick them up at the supermarket around about the $15 mark. This is an electric one. I like the electric one because you can plug it in. You've got a little button at the side. You turn it on and off, and you're able to just take half a teaspoon out of your candle and put it in the melt warmer. And yes, I do put half a teaspoon of my new full moon and half a teaspoon of my fire sign in here. And then I'm able to put, write the list, put it underneath, put it on the coaster, do exactly the same procedure as we do with the candle. But this you can leave going all day. And you can be wandering around doing your business, doing your work, doing your housework, attending to the children, whatever the case may be. And it's a much, much safer option. So that's another alternative. I tend to use these a lot more than I do actually burning a candle, unless I'm sitting with a candle. And as I've probably mentioned many times before in this workshop series, I have a couple of these in my house. I have one in my office that permanently just has protection soy wax in it. And then in my dining room, I have the one that I'm working with for the week. This week, mine has my fire sign and my full moon soy wax in it this week, so that I've got the two different things. Under my protection one, I just have a little message under there that I change regularly about what I'm protecting my clients and my work and all that sort of stuff, and my family. And then on my other one in my dining room, I change that with the energy that I'm working with for the week. So they're just my suggestions. So if you want to know a little bit more about why we sort of work with energy and things like that, you can go back and, as I said, watch some of my previous shows. I do have a Facebook page set up, Amanda Hall Psychic show/workshop, where all the previous workshops and shows are there for you to peruse. They're all entirely free. And, it's always nice to go back and sort of look at something. I do post them up on my website and things like that. And I do write a weekly blog on the things that we've been sort of talking about, and have the links to the shows on there as well. So it's always nice to connect with people, because people sort of say to me, like, I really enjoy watching this, Amanda. It's teaching me so much, but it's also helping me understand why I get so emotional at different times. It's helped me understand that when the moon starts to change cycles, at why my mood starts to change. And, for some people, they're very, very affected by the full moon. They find they can't sleep, they can't think straight, they get very upset. Some people get aggressive, some people get teary. And a lot can also depend on the energy that the full moon's in. Now, with the full moon this time being in Aries, just be aware that sometimes people are going to be a little bit aggressive, a little bit snappy. It's not that they're not listening. It's sort of like they're very matter of fact. They're so much in their own headspace and so much being sort of, in a sense, self-absorbed. They're trying to listen to you, but still focus on what they're still doing or what they're going to be doing next. So it seems to be as if they're a little bit snappy, snarly. So please make allowances for that. It's not that they're not happy with you. Now, if I can just backtrack a little bit and suggest to you, if you don't have my candles, that's perfectly fine. I always suggest that you work with the candles that you have. If you have a cupboard full of candles, use those first. If you don't have a candle and you don't have, all you've got in your house is your household grade white candle for, the power blackouts, get the candle out, hold it, and imagine that you're infusing it with the energy, with your eyes shut, of the full moon in Aries. So that you're stroking it, you're putting the energy in it. The same applies to any other candle. And then do the same procedures that we worked with. The most important thing is to learn to work with the energy. Yes, you will get more power out of working with my candles, purely because each one has been designed for the particular energy that it is, from the color to the fragrance to what the candle has been infused in. It just makes it more powerful. But that's not to say that you can't put your own power into your household grade candle, or the candles that you have in your cupboard or your drawer, and use them first. That would be my suggestion. So for those of you that might like to get a free astrology chart, why don't you head across to my website, www.amandahallpsychic.com.au. You'll find a little pop-up thing will come on as you come onto the website, asking you to sign up to our newsletter. By doing that, that will enable you to get your free astrology chart. You're under no obligation to buy anything from us, and you can leave us at any time if you don't find the information or the newsletter is helpful to you. That's always your choice. But you'll also find by being part of that, from time to time, we have different little specials that are only available to the members of our newsletter, that you get some extra special opportunities for extra special discounts. So on next week's workshop, we're going to actually be working with the sun in Libra. We've been following the zodiac sign around, and each month we work with the full moon, the new moon, and the star sign of the month. And then depending on whether we've got 1 week or 2 weeks in between in that month, whether we work on some other particular psychic subject or another particular area that we're working with in our manifestation. So I like to sort of do that so that we're working with what's current, so that then you understand that even though you may not be a Libra, but by tuning in and watching the segment on Libra, it helps you understand the Librians that are in your life, or when you meet a Libra, and just understand the energy and how it all works. And it's a very interesting way of learning to study people, is understanding the star signs and how it affects people and why they change and why they're different. And, you know, we are all unique and different. And there's many different ways of looking at everything. There's no, you know, we can't just divide the population into 12. That's a very basic way of looking at astrology, but it does happen to be correct to a certain point. Then we have to layer in the other factors that come into a chart at where all their other 9 planets and luminaries are in their chart, their rising sign, their midheaven, their descendant. They're all other factors that come into it. But yes, our sun sign is 1/10 of us. So we all have some sort of traits of the star sign that we were born in. So how do we know when people sort of say to me, oh, Amanda, I'm born on the cusp, and I almost want to get exasperated and say there's no such thing as a cusp, because there isn't. If I give you a pie and ask you to cut it into 12 pieces, you can't turn around and say to me that when you've cut the pie into 12 pieces, well, that's a bit on that side of the pie belongs to this piece here, because it doesn't. You've put the line in there. You've cut the pie into 2 separate pieces. Well, the same is said for astrology. You're either one sign or the other. You cannot be both. And the reasons why people say I'm born on the cusp is the technical term that we use for the line or the division in astrology. And because the sun can enter the sign as early as the 16th of the month and as late as the 26th, this is why people say loosely, I'm born on the cusp. If you, these days you can Google sort of astrology websites and things like that and type in your birth date and time and everything and find out which sign you're actually in. You're either one sign or the other. Or most astrologers can do it for you fairly quickly. But, you know, there's a lot of free astrology software out there these days that you can actually type it in and it'll come up and tell you when you think you've always been a Libra and you find out you're a Virgo. That's the reasons why. You know, the average is around about the 22nd of the month. But as I said, as early as the 16th and as late as the 26th. So that sort of might just sort of help you a little bit more understand that. So I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you. I hope you've enjoyed what we've been talking about. We will be here to do it all again next week. You will find the show that I've just done now with you. The workshop will be available on that page later today. And my show that I did previously before this on A1R Psychic Radio will be uploaded to there also in the next 24 hours. I just have to wait for my producer to put it through YouTube for me, and we'll be able to upload that for you. I look forward to seeing you all again next week, and I look forward to being able to sort of personally sort of wave and say hi to you and thank you for your comments, and have a great week wherever you are in this world of ours. And don't forget, let's start manifesting what we want and releasing under this full moon. Bye for now.